Call to order. First item is the public forum. Do we have anyone on public who isn't speaking later that has anything to contribute at this time?
Looks like Stan Raby has his hand raised.
I just wanted to mention that we are going to be doing a show at Stevens Auditorium. We're partnering with Stevens to do the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. And it's a really big deal because this allows us to social distance and to do the show safely. Everyone's going to be required to wear a mask. And it's the thing that is going to give us the opportunity to do shows. And we realize with the cost of going to Stevens, we're probably going to lose money, but it's better to do something for the community than to be dark. So the show opens November 12th, runs 12th, 13th, 14th, and a matinee on November 15th. So tickets are available at actorsinc.org. Thanks.
That's great. Good luck.
Thanks.
Anyone else with a hand raised?
I don't see anyone else with their hand raised.
All right. I guess we'll go on to approval of the minutes from the October 5th meeting. So everybody peruse those. Any thoughts, comments?
I'll move to approve.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion is passed unanimously. Now we get the approval of the spring special grant projects. Has everybody had a chance to look that over? The final? It looks like we were fairly close across the board here. Averages seem to be in line with what everybody said. My only thought would be that our average came out to $24.52 and we actually have $24.53 to spend. So we could throw $1 at somebody if anybody has so inclined. Any thoughts?
Can we use it to buy donuts at our next in-person meeting, or half a donut or whatever?
You get maybe one donut. Heck, I'll buy the donuts. Don't worry about it. Does anyone have a suggestion for that $1?
Give it to somebody.
Well, that's what I think. How about the Ames Community Arts Council? They serve a lot of folks.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good to me.
I hope they make good use of that $1.
Well,
Did someone read off the final amounts then for each group?
okay. So do everyone approve the special project grants as they're submitted here?
Yeah, I request to approve.
Do you have a question, Natalie?
No, I would move to approve.
Oh, okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the spring special grants, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The grants are carried unanimously.
Would you be able to just read off the total, the amounts for each group?
Oh, yes, sir. For Ames Town and Gown, the average total was $570. For the Story Theater Company, average total was $930. And for the Ames Community Arts Council, The average total was 952, which we bumped up to 953. So the total was 2453.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Now I believe the next item is the annual grant hearings. First up is Ames Children's Choir, I believe. We have someone here from there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Christina Speck with Ames Children's Choirs.
Hi.
All right. Is it normal for you not to see me? Should I just begin speaking?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, I was just making sure. First of all, we're so appreciative for your past support. We couldn't continue on without you. So the Ames Children's Choirs, we definitely were not immune to the societal, financial, and organizational burdens of COVID-19, but singing is an innate part of humanity, so we adapted and we're moving forward. We are currently doing all blended rehearsals where singers are meeting face-to-face and via Zoom simultaneously in real time. Actually, right now, one of our assistants is running the rehearsal for me. We have bonus Zoom rehearsals for each ensemble every Thursday to allow singers to catch up and spend time together across one medium. We've lost some singers, but we've also gained new singers who are hungry for musical engagement. We're rising to the challenge of providing musical engagement to new members as well as a comparable experience for all of our veteran singers. As the director of music, I've also been challenged to reimagine what children's choir can look and sound like. Our upcoming winter concert will include a blend of virtual choir videos and live music. There will even be some pre-recorded singing woven into our live singing because everyone's voice is important, all from the comforts of a parking garage, pending approval, to enable protection from the elements in December, as well as a safe singing outdoor space. With that said, we have a growing list of activities planned for next season, and we know they will continue to grow as we continue thriving within our new normal. As Zoltan Kodály said, only the best is good enough for a child. So our upcoming events include some of the following. We're going to continue with outdoor rehearsals, retreats, and concerts, and we're going to start investing in tent rentals. We're pushing back our spring season so that way we can take advantage of the warmer weather and spend as much time outside as possible. We have potential actors and story theater company collaborations in the future. In spring 2021, we're going to do a virtual spring tour of the elementary schools, which will actually enable me to be more one-on-one and interact with individual classrooms instead of us giving an assembly for the entire school. We're scheduling a Saturday park tour where we are going to have pop-up performances in the gazebos in the Ames area parks. We're doing virtual tours through Ames at senior residences starting next week, and we'll continue those next semester. We're having upcoming a Sunday virtual share session with Children's Chorus of San Antonio, as well as virtual kinder music share sessions with the programs in Ames. Next summer, we're putting together a summer choral season that can all be outside. We found that our parents are most comfortable when we have all singing outside. So we're going to have an extra season that is just going to be outside next summer. Next fall, we're planning on Good Neighbor Benefit Concert, and we're going to experiment with virtual Christmas caroling for senior residences in Ames this season, and we're going to continue doing that next fall as well. We will have performance participation in local church services that are open to the public and safe, or that are Zooming through to their congregations. Meet the Composer Festival in Des Moines is scheduled for spring 2022. We're going to continue this idea of a Saturday park tour. It seems pretty great, and we wouldn't have come up with it had we not had to be creative with new performance opportunities. So we're going to continue with that in 2022. We're also scheduling our Midwest Children's Choir Festival with Barb Sletto and a potential commissioned piece in 2022. And then we're throwing around the idea of either having a 25th +2 anniversary celebration or hanging on just 3 more years and throwing a big 30th celebration. So those are a few of the activities that we have planned. What questions can we answer?
Questions, anyone? I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
You bet. I think next up is Central Iowa Symphony. What do we have from there?
Is Don Withers on? Or if someone else is going to represent the group, could you please raise your hand? We should probably go over how to raise your hand to begin with. If you're joining via video, there's a button at the bottom of your screen that says raise hand. If you're on the phone, you can press *9. And when your hand is raised, that'll indicate that you want to speak. Okay, so I take it this is the person on the phone. Let's see.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hello. This is Don Withers from Central Iowa Symphony. I apologize, I've had a computer crash today. In a time like this, the Symphony is putting quite a bit of attention to contacting all the members of the Symphony to remind them what our purpose is. And I might just read that. The Central Iowa Symphony is a community orchestra united by a love of music and dedication to the art of orchestral performances, whose collective goal is to foster quality performances, offer satisfying musical experiences, and nurture education and cultural growth in Central Iowa. In this time since we've had so much virus around and since it's very tricky for an orchestra to perform, especially as the full 55-piece, we have been holding that and doing quite a bit of research in what other orchestras are doing. We are very fortunate to have as our conductor and musical director, Eric McIntyre, who is a professor of music down there at Grinnell. He has checked this out very carefully with other people and with other orchestral websites. And we believe that at this time, the best estimate that we can do is that the 2021-2022 season will be quite a bit like the last season. The first performance would be in October, and from what we have been able to gather by people saying the virus will be here, the immunity will be here, we still think that is probably about the best bet we can have. We cannot announce any performances right now because we're working with a couple of players in the Des Moines Symphony to see how they do it online. And we have seen from the University of Iowa Marching Band that they do have little masks over the wind instruments. So there is a potential online. At this stage, it's primarily research into that, but we still think it's a very good idea. And what we have based our request for money in the future is probably quite a bit like it was last year. We have fewer donations coming in, but then again, we have fewer expenses. We keep paying the director his standard fee as if he was conducting these because he is an absolute gem and we certainly don't want to lose him. I wish we had a lot more to offer you at this time, but just know that that statement, that it's a community orchestra, the conductor is staying in touch with all the musicians, as is Jennifer. I forget exactly what her position is, but she's mainly in charge of the musicians. They're willing to get going when it can be worked out. Cross your fingers. But we are a community orchestra, and we do love music. We love to play for the people of Ames at a reasonable price. We love to bring in top-notch soloists and really top-notch orchestral performances. Just cross your fingers, but we're hanging in there, and we know that we will come back as a very strong orchestra. We want you to know that in the season 2021, 2022. You have any questions?
Questions, anyone?
Good, I'm glad we could get it unmuted.
So are we. Thank you.
Oh, looks good.
I believe next up is actors. Stan, are you still around?
Yes, I am. And did I get unmuted successfully?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Ames Community Theater is the local all-volunteer amateur theater in the city of Ames. This is our 65th season. As part of our 65th season, we're going through, outside of CODA funding, a very exciting building project where we're changing the way the facility looks and very much the way that it functions by adding on to the front. Also this year, because of COVID, we've made a very active and an intentional decision that we were going to do shows. And we figured we would lose money doing them. And when we announced that we were moving forward with the season, Stevens Auditorium came to us and asked if we would like the opportunity to perform at Stevens. And so it's on a show-by-show basis, based on what's happening with the COVID environment. But we're having our first 2 shows at Stevens, and we're expecting to do probably the 3 remaining shows this season there. We're also not discounting the probability or the possibility that next season will at least start at Stevens, based on whether or not there's a vaccine and all the different kinds of specialties or the requirements at the time. We know we're going to lose money doing this, but it is much more important that we have a service for the city of Ames, both for those people going to see shows as well as the people doing shows. We think we have mastered the skill of rehearsing safely because we use masks. We socially distance during rehearsals until it's time to put everyone together. And so we disinfect and have sanitizer all over. So we're doing this as safely as we possibly can. I can't talk about the season for season 66 yet because we're just selecting it. So we don't know what shows you'll be funding because that's so far off in the future for us. So any questions?
Stan?
Yes.
Are they going to give you a little bit of break on the rental costs? I know they have an overhead that they have to meet, but it seems like it's to their advantage to put on shows as well as your own. So are you getting some kind of break there?
Yeah, we've been given a very generous partnership deal with Stevens.
Good.
So yeah, I mean, we know we're going to lose money at it, but the arrangements are set up that actually we still contribute to overhead. We'd have those expenses anyway, even if we stayed dark. So at least so far, it's a good deal for us, and it's a good deal for Stevens. It's good that neither one of us are staying dark all the time.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I believe next up is Friends of Strings. Do we have somebody from there?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Kelly Glotfelty, and I am more than pleased to be here tonight to represent Friends of Ames Strings. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Friends of Ames Strings is a local nonprofit that actually began back in 1985. It has been our mission since that time to enhance youth orchestra programming in our community. The biggest annual contribution that we do for our community is our Summer Strings Workshop for elementary and middle school youth. In 2019, we had nearly 80 youth participate in our 2-week summer workshop. That was a record for us. This year, we also plan to open enrollment to 80 participants. Now, in this workshop, every student receives individual, small group, and large ensemble experience. There are also 2 performances that are always open and free to the public. We also live stream our final concert to try to reach as many people as possible. Like everyone else, our finances were impacted by the COVID pandemic this past summer. We had already hired 2 conductors, a manager, and most of our coaches. They worked together and did an amazing job transitioning from an in-person program, which we had done at that point for 34 years, to a virtual format. Due to this change, however, we limited the number of participants and we charged a much smaller registration fee. We learned a lot from this experience and we're very proud of the programming we were able to provide. We hope to return to in-person format this summer while considering a virtual component and increased individual attention. These plans are based on participant and parent feedback. So we've been blessed to be supported by CODA in the past, most recently in 2017. And we are again, at this point, coming to ask for your support, which you can see from our proposal will go to our operational costs, specifically the cost of our workshop staff this summer. To effectively teach and support 80 youth with diverse needs and diverse experiences, we will hire 2 conductors, 1 manager, 5 coaches, and 2 junior coaches. This is an instructor to student ratio of 1 to 10, with the manager and coaches all being hired mostly from Ames High Strings programs, but also from other high schools in the area. Our Summer Strings Workshop is unique. It's one of a kind in our community, and it effectively addresses identified needs for local youth strings players, private instructors, and our school orchestra programs. We also see it as an opportunity for our community to experience exceptional orchestra performances. Finally, this workshop provides summer employment, leadership skills, and mentoring opportunities for high school string players. CODA grant support this year will ensure a successful workshop for Friends of Ames Strings. With that overview, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or to talk to you about our other programming.
Anyone have any questions? Well, we got an easy crowd tonight.
I guess. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. I believe next up is Octagon Center for the Arts. I think Heather, looks like you're here.
I'll see. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. Again, I just want to say thank you to the Commission on the Arts for your continued support, especially during this time that's really affected numerous organizations. So thank you so much. Pardon me. So with the changes this last year, the biggest thing we've seen is the cancellation of the art festival. And in order to help to try to keep many artists that have lost a lot of opportunities for public shows and exhibits, one of the big things that Octagon has done the last few months was invest some money and time into doing our gallery shop online as much as we can. We do feature about 175 artists, mostly from Iowa and the Midwest. And so as a way to kind of help promote their goods and services, since many may not have the component on their websites. We've been trying to keep them going that way as much as possible. Also, we've had a lot of shift going online as far as tutorials for crafts for kids and adults. We have them up on our Facebook and our website and YouTube. So if you're interested, feel free to check that out. Beth, our education director, has done an amazing job doing those projects. Also, we've taken our exhibits virtually as well. And this summer, you may have seen the Outrage to Change exhibit July along Main Street to help support and show for BIPOC artists. And so Kristen did a wonderful job reaching out to various artists and Main Street businesses. We thank them for hosting an artist for their month of July. And in the near future, we hope to also work with some other artists for potentially doing some studios, co-working space, as well as hopefully an artist in residencies, especially since Design on Main closed a few months ago. We've heard from a lot of artists that they're really looking for affordable space. And that's one thing that the Octagon has in our building. So we're just trying to adjust and work with a lot of our local creatives. Rhonda's working on going virtual for our Business of Art. They'll be coming up in March. That's another great way that we offer support to artists that may not have the background for business or, taxes. And so we're really thankful to partner with Ames Community Arts Council and Jennifer to do a great lineup of speakers for that event too. And maybe with it being virtual, a lot more artists hopefully will be able to participate as well. So we're really thankful for all your continued support. And if there's any questions at all, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Any questions, anyone?
It looked like the biggest, everything was pretty much self-explanatory. It looked like the biggest jump was your honoraria line
Yes.
item.
Yes.
Was that, maybe I was looking at the numbers and missed it, but was there an explanation about the increase?
Yes. Was that
big of a
for
jump?
this past year?
2021-22, it went from 1,700 to 15,000.
That one, yes. Actually, that is part of the project that we just completed this summer. We did a GoFundMe to try and raise support for these artists that were along Main Street. And so a lot of that was income that was raised from the public. And so that's money that we raised, and then it went to the artists directly, if that makes sense. So that's why there was a big jump, was for the specific project that we did this summer.
Well, this would be for next year in the 2021-22 expenses column.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Apologies. Part of that is for the pending grants that we got for the art festival for the 50th. That, pardon me, was going to be an outreach for a public art with the Public Arts Commission, as well as hopefully we got word that we're hopefully still in the running for some musicians to also help celebrate the 50th art festival next September, if everything, depending on COVID and everything. So those would be grant supported if they get approved through some other granting opportunities.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry about that. And also, speaking of budget, I do want to point out that since our fiscal year ends June 30th and our art festival happens in September, you'll see that there's usually a carryover, like there's an influx of money, and then the next year you'll see a negative to kind of balance each other out. And that's basically just the timing of income and grants and processing of booth fees for the art festival. So that's why you'll see like there's an ongoing kind of pattern.
Yep.
With the net, so.
I always ran into that exact same thing.
Yes,
so.
yes, yeah.
Anything else, anyone? Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You bet. I believe next on the agenda is the Good Company.
All right, I'm Steve Hoyfelt, and I direct Good Company. We have suspended our activities at present, and with the increase of cases in Iowa, we're going to have to continue to discuss how we're going to go on in the future. But we have been very grateful for the support from CODA to help make our seasons as successful as they have been. Our singers really are missing singing together, and we had hoped to resume our season in January. We'll have to confer with each other for that. The place that we rehearse, St. Andrew's Lutheran Church, is still closed to outside groups for the time being. And if we decide to resume, we'll probably have to be at a different rehearsal space, which will probably cost more to do that. The group is not paying either the accompanist or me. And we were planning on presenting a commissioned work this last spring, so that's just having to be put off to a different concert. We offer women who are interested in auditioning for the group a chance to sing a wide variety of music. We've been doing it for we were in our 27th season when we had to shut down, and like I said, we hope to resume sometime soon. And I don't know if there are any particular questions, or I think Nancy Clow is there if she has anything to add. But
anything, anyone?
All right, anyone have any questions?
You're getting off easy, Steve. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for all the support you've given us.
Oh, you bet. I think the Ames Community Arts Council is up next. Jennifer here, or?
Yes, I am here. I am on my husband's Zoom account, and the way it's set up, I can't change it, but it's still me. So first of all, thank you so much for your past and continued support. We promise to do amazing things with that extra dollar, and look forward to bringing that project to Ames. For our CODA application today, I think most of you are familiar with the Ames Community Arts Council. We are dedicated to celebrating the arts in Ames and serve local artists, arts and cultural organizations and businesses, and Ames citizens. The Arts Council is committed to building a strong sense of community, encouraging participation in the arts at every level, and helping artists succeed. The CODA operational grant enables us to promote cultural events, recognize excellence with our annual arts awards, feature artists on the fall studio tour, offer small grants for local murals and arts and education, and also provide workshops, gatherings, and performances for artists and the community. With COVID, lots of things have changed, lots of things have stayed the same. We're still able to maintain our website, newsletter, and Instagram account, and we are hoping that those help people stay current as COVID keeps things changing. We're hoping that we're seen as a resource for the city. Our studio tour did not happen in its traditional way this year, but we've been doing some beautiful videos for our usual artist participants that we're hoping to put out in the public eye around the holiday shopping time as things get closer to Black Friday. We continue to offer professional development, mostly from our Business of Arts conference that Heather mentioned earlier. We are, as I think she said, going 100% virtual this year, and we've received some nice support from the Iowa Arts Council, which has given us the opportunity to bring some really exciting people. And we're hoping that the momentum of this year will allow it to grow in next year as well. We did the Arts Awards virtually this year, so we know that that can successfully be done next year if needed. The Arts and Education and Back Alley Gallery, both opportunities, we wait for folks to come to us, but we've again been promoting those through our social media outlets. And we're excited to be putting more more murals into the city. That seems to have really been embracing them lately. So that's really exciting. Our gatherings have kind of gone on hiatus because by their very nature, we did a few online and it did work pretty well, but we've taken a small break as the artists lots of them are creating right now and not ready to share their studio space, but we do have plans in December to get a behind the scenes look at Ryman Gardens, the RG Holiday Express. So we're excited about that, and we're certain that by spring we'll have a nice lineup to keep those going and into next year as well. You've already heard a little bit about our mobile music stage, so we're hoping that that can continue into our next fiscal year. And yeah, that's what we've been doing, staying busy. We really appreciate your support, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Anyone? Well, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
I believe IOFA is next. Hope I pronounced that right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, well.
All right, great. Thank you so much. As you said, I'm Noelle Fultz. I'm the current president for IOFA, Ames International Orchestra Festival Association. We greatly appreciate your support through the years. IOFA is a unique organization with our mission to promote and facilitate live performances of orchestral music by outstanding ensembles and to foster awareness of the value of classical music. Even with the pandemic, we are continuing to meet virtually and plan and adjust to continue our mission as best we can. When it's safe to do so, we look forward to enjoying live performances again at Stevens Auditorium and activities like the festival residences, music leadership intensives, and other opportunities for engagement with the professional orchestra members. Our board represents the Ames community and is committed to the over 50-year tradition of IOFA while looking forward to meeting the evolving needs of the Ames community. We're especially excited about revitalizing festival-type engagements where the performance groups will interact in educational and other community outreach activities, and further reducing barriers between the audiences and fine orchestral music. Thank you. That's all I have, and I would like to turn it over to Tammy Kuhlbeck for the next portion.
All right. Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. This is Tammy Kuhlbeck. I'm executive director over at Stevens Auditorium and the staff liaison with IOFA. And IOFA or AOFA, we've decided is pronounced both right, depends on which part of the state you're from. We have not yet correlated it to wash or wash or creek or crick, but maybe someday we will. So the Ames International Orchestra Festival, as Noelle put so well, she gave you the background on that. So as you've heard from pretty much everybody on the call today, our events have been smaller. We're happy that we were able to work with actors, but we are moving forward with our music intensive leadership program with the conductor from the Russian string orchestra. So we're very excited that we are going to be doing that in a couple weeks. And we're going to continue. It's probably a nice way for us to kind of practice before it might get a little bit bigger for the 21-22 season that we're asking for the grants for. So again, this grant would support our orchestral offering. Our international orchestra is one of our biggest expenses of the year. And we certainly, the CODA grant has been vital in allowing us to continue to offer a home to international orchestral music in Iowa. We are looking at the Russian National Orchestra, not to be confused with the Russian String Orchestra that we have coming in. Continuing the festival residency, as Noelle said, the board and staff have done a lot of work of trying to bring that back. as we celebrated our 50th year at Stevens. And then, of course, we can't forget that this money also helps us fund our ISU Symphony Orchestra educational concert, in which we do a petting zoo, and the ISU Orchestra comes over and performs for school-aged children in Ames and the surrounding communities. So I would happy to answer any questions.
Anyone?
Pretty straightforward, I think.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I believe next up is the Story Theater Company.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, my name is Sue Ann Peters. I'm representing Story Theater Company, a children's theater company in Ames. Our request for operational support from the CODA Commission is mainly to assist us in rental fees for our Black Box Theater and Ames City Auditorium. Your support, in turn, helps our children's theater focus on engaging hundreds of youth and volunteers per year in our clubs, workshops, and productions. As we've brought to your attention in the past years, we have continued to face rising city auditorium rates for our shows. From this year to 21-22, our fees will increase 33%. We produce 2 major theater productions a year that perform at the City Auditorium, fall and spring. Due to the nature of children's theater productions, STC cannot move in on Friday, perform on Saturday afternoon, and move out on Saturday night to minimize hourly auditorium rental fees. The auditorium fee structure causes significant difficulties for STC, given the lengthy occupation required for detailed lights and set operation, technical rehearsals, dress rehearsals, and 6 performances. We have considered greatly reducing this area of our budget by relocating to different auditoriums in surrounding cities or only performing in our Black Box. But we firmly believe there's value in having STC perform some productions per year at the Ames City Auditorium for the following reasons. 1, the experience for our area youth to perform on a large-scale stage event is a positive, creative outlet that benefits their growth in theatrical skills, including acting and technical theater elements. Number 2, the ability to bring in audiences of 3,500 to 4,000 to our city's venue is great for our theater's success and growth, as well as the economic success of the auditorium and the Ames community. Number 3, success of our city auditorium helps stimulate the arts in our community and support other events and shows. Number 4, because of the larger venue, more Ames people are exposed to live stage theater at an affordable price. Number 5, utilizing a large venue like City Auditorium enables us to provide more than 300 free and reduced ticket prices to daycares, social service agencies such as YSS and Boys and Girls Club, and Food at First. STC feels strongly about including the underserved in our community with access to the arts. Number 6, the central location of City Auditorium is critical to provide easy access to our ticket holders. Number 7, we believe in the mission of the City Auditorium to grow and expand and want to be a part of local arts organizations contributing to its success. We thank you for your many years of support for us, and we're asking you to partner with us to stimulate the arts in Ames by supporting the utilization of our City Auditorium, by helping STC rent it, and further support the City of Ames. Commissioners, thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Questions, anyone? Thank you, Sue Ann. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
I believe Ames Choral Society is up next, I believe.
Let me be me again, Steve Hoyfeld. Again, I want to thank the commission for support over the years for our group. This coming, well, we have suspended, like a lot of choirs, we've suspended our activities. One of the things that was kind of a shock, I should have mentioned this earlier, but a shock back in the spring was having a choir of 60 members is pretty much wiped out by the COVID, early stages of COVID being in the U.S. because 45 of their members ended up becoming ill out of the 60, and they had at least 2 deaths in the group. But we have not had anything like that because we suspended our activities back during the spring break in March. We ended up being in a pretty good financial position in the spring because we had a number of very generous contributions, and we did not end up being able to do our performance of Missagaya in the spring, and we were going to use some of the funding for this season for a concert with orchestra in December. But we've suspended our season as well, and most of our members are, not most, well, yeah, most of our members are probably over 50. So as I mentioned earlier, St. Andrews is closed to the general public. And so that's our main rehearsal and performance space. And we're hoping to resume at some point in the near future. We haven't decided what we're going to do, particularly come spring. But anyway, I'm hoping to provide some materials to both Ames Choral Society and Good Company, vocalises and other things like that. We are planning on uploading some of our past performances, making them available, but that will require probably paying some kind of licensing fee to have recordings of the group online. So we are one of the few unauditioned groups that I'm aware of in the state. It's sort of a y'all come. People who come are interested in improving their singing and learning new music from different time periods, different styles. We have, I think, a unique season. Typically, our cabaret shows in the spring are our Pops concert, and it gives a lot of folks an opportunity to do solo or to sing a duet or as part of a smaller group, as well as being in the full choir. And we've been doing that since the mid-'60s. So I think we're one of the oldest groups in Iowa, as far as I know, for a choral society. So anyway, we're hoping to resume, if not in the spring, the following year, and we'll try and do our performances from this past spring and this season at that time. As I said, we still have to decide what we're going to try and do in the spring this year, and we'll have to just wait and see. So I don't know if there are any questions.
I think you're off the hook, Steve. Thank you. I believe we have up next the India Cultural.
Okay, well, thanks again for all of your support, and
you're very welcome. Now, the India Cultural Association.
Hi, this is Anand from ICA. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. And, I do, just like all of the other speakers, I want to thank the Commission for supporting ICA all throughout these years. just like the previous gentleman was saying, for ICA, it's been a really interesting experience in 2019, 2020, because we were really we had a ton of momentum at the beginning of the year. We had some of the biggest shows that we actually ever have put up. For example, our talent night that we put up in March had over 250 people attend, which is almost double of what we had last year. So we were really riding a wave, and we were going to get a stand-up comedian from India called Atul Khatri in March, April, and we had sold close to 250 to 300 tickets before the pandemic news hit, and that kind of shocked our system because we were proficient in starting to get proficient in putting together events and build community, and now all of a sudden there was quite a long pause. But now what we are doing is we are adapting to I guess a new normal, and we are getting more proficient about how to throw virtual events, and and we are seeing a tremendous amount of success starting this September or August, September. We started out by doing virtual summer camps for kids just before the school year started, with people from India teaching dancing or playing keyboards, arts, etc. And now people seem to be more receptive to it, in the sense, now this weekend we have a magic show, a gentleman from India called Karan Singh, who's been covered by New York Times, etc. He's going to be performing, and it's open to the whole community. We've opened it out to the whole community. We've invited anybody who listened to us to attend the show, and it's free, because ultimately our goal, the executive committee of ICA, our goal ultimately is to build a good community within Ames, a friendly community within Ames, and we want to participate in that. And so with that in mind, we have a magic show coming. We are hosting bingo nights in November. There's a concert, there's a classical concert that we're hosting, and all of this is kind of open to the overall Ames community. And so we're getting really good at it. And so I guess the message is, what continuing to 2021, 2022, in the past, when ICA has approached Coda for money, we've always approached it for a singular event. We'd always be like, okay, we're going to a stand-up comedy show, or we're going to do like a classical dance concert. So, but that is very hard to pull off because the funding, like the executive committee of ICA, is kind of transient. It changes every year. So like we as the ICA committee are asking for money for the future. So based on recommendation from a lot of the Coda commissioners and the city, but we do have a pattern of our events. There's always a talent night. There's an event for kids. There's an event for senior citizens. There's a classic concert. And in 2021, 22, that will once again be the pattern. There'll be multiple events that we host. And we are requesting, Coda for kind of operating money to put together all these events in, as we participate in building community names. Any questions?
I think you covered it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I believe next up is the Dance Center Dance Company.
Hi, my name is Melissa Ullman, and I represent the Dance Center Dancer Company Foundation. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thanks, Melissa.
Great. Thank you for your time tonight and your past support. The DDCF is a nonprofit charitable arts organization dedicated to providing volunteer and financial support for the education, development, and advancement of dancers while enriching our community through the art of dance. Coda funding would be used to pay for expenses incurred from the rental of the Ames High School auditorium for the Dance Center Dancer Showcase. The auditorium is used by the Dance Center Dancers, a pre-professional dance company based in Ames, to perform a variety of dance pieces. The 3-hour performance highlights dance styles such as jazz, contemporary, tap, and ballet. The performers, ages 5 to 18 years old, are members of the Ames community who intensively study dance. This annual dance performance is targeted to all members of the Ames community and is a free event. The funds benefit the community by helping to provide an opportunity for the citizens of Ames to attend a premier dance performance free of charge. The funds assist in eliminating attendance barriers that sometimes exist with the fine arts due to ticket costs. Additionally, the performance also benefits and supports aspiring Ames dancers by giving them an opportunity to perform and share their talents with the community. We are excited to share that our dancers have continued dancing safely through the pandemic. Starting in July, they competed locally with specially made masks that were made as part of their costumes. They also relearned their choreography to socially distance as best as possible to continue to dance safely. In addition, because of the pandemic, we have lost our biggest fundraiser this year, as we were not permitted to sell programs at Iowa State football and basketball games. The cost of the rental of the auditorium is also rising. We are still fundraising, and we are very grateful for your work and appreciate your assistance in helping fund our organization. Are there any questions?
I think we're good, Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ames Chamber Artists, I believe, is up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Chris Johnson. I'm the treasurer of Ames Chamber Artists, and we are, as other groups have said, just grateful for the way CODA has stepped alongside these organizations and have continued to support and encourage us as we go through this time. A little bit about Chamber Artists. We are an auditioned choir for adults in Central Iowa, organized to provide excellent choral performances of many styles of music to audiences in Ames and surrounding area. And we try to perform 2 concerts at least every season, and we often collaborate with other musicians to expand the types of music we perform, as well as number of performances that we can offer in the community. And we also try to make it a point to work with student groups. So whether that's a local school group or a community children's choir, we have historically done that because we believe that choral singing is a lifelong skill, and we want to encourage that. This year, we are trying to do what we could not do last year, because last year everything got shut down and we actually cut our season after the Christmas concert. So this year we want to try to offer some choral masterworks. We've identified a number of high quality works that could feature a small scale orchestra and would be something for our community to enjoy that they don't normally get a chance to hear. And we're also looking again to work with youth. So we are trying to work with Gilbert High School and sing with their choir. It remains to be seen if COVID will let us do that, but plans are in the works for that. And we continue to work with Good Neighbor to sing in the benefit concert as things are allowed. Food at First benefit concert as things allow. And we just find it joyful to be able to give to our community and share the gift of music.
So we're now ready for the next scheduled conference time. So we appreciate you wrapping up your.
And I'm in my parent-teacher conferences, so that's the announcement you hear over the loudspeaker. Welcome your questions.
Everything looking good to me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Town and Gown, I believe, is up next here. Who do we have from Town and Gown?
Okay, this is Bill. I'm now unmuted. You should be able to. Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So from Ames Town and Gown, and like all the other organizations that have presented tonight, we very much appreciate the CODA support
in this difficult time. We have moved totally to online programming during this year of 2020 to 2021, and we have partnered with a series out of Lincoln Center in New York that we're presenting every few weeks. We also will be doing our own productions of two groups that were supposed to be here in person. The Mayor's Trio in celebration of Beethoven's birthday on December 16th, and the Castellan String Quartet out of London sometime in the spring. We are doing all this without a paywall. This is free not only to the Ames community, but really to anybody who has access to our website. So we appreciate that support. But I'm here to ask for, of course, for support for next season. The planned highlight of next season is going to be a commissioned work for Guzheng, which is a Chinese zither, and the Telegraph String Quartet that was originally supposed to have been the conclusion of our 70th season in May 2020. And we hope that our proposed guest order, Su Chang, will be able to travel to the United States to play the Guzheng part. Similar to prior years, we plan a program or a season of diverse programs, and that will likely include a piano soloist. It could include, possibly include a vocal ensemble that we were supposed to have travel from Germany this year, and other possibilities include a guitar duo and instrumental trio or wind ensemble. And we also plan to have something a little bit more out of the box, a little bit more musically and culturally diverse events, such as the Brazilian Recorder Quartet that performed in our 2018-19 season, or the Russian Renaissance Ensemble that opened our 2019-20 season. The core of our community outreach is kind of on two pillars. One being artist presentations for K-12 audiences during regular school hours. The other one being master classes for college, high school, and middle school students. We are planning to expand that during 2021 and 2022. We have plans for outreach to youth and shelter services, and also not included in the proposal because we just recently found out about funding, but we have recently received funding from another agency for 3D virtual reality presentations that we hope to take to local senior care facilities. So for 21-22, we hope to be back to business as usual, presenting a diverse program of different artists from not only around the nation, but around the world, visiting here in Ames, and having those people do outreach not only to our usual audience of K-12 and college students, but also expanding to groups such as youth and shelter services, and also finding unique and innovative ways to bring our programming into senior care facilities. Are there any questions?
I think we're good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Tom, and board members.
I believe KHOI is up next. We have Ursula or anyone from there?
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Okay. I am here with Ursula. Ursula is our station manager. I'm the board treasurer for KHOI FM Community Radio. My name's Ruth Wiedemeyer. KHOI is a non-commercial, volunteer-driven community radio station. We've been on the air since 2012, providing local and area residents access to local and national news, community events, music, verbal arts, opportunities to learn and participate in radio programming and production, as well as volunteer coordination and radio station management. On behalf of our listeners and the KHOI board, we're grateful for the past support from the City of Ames and CODA for the opportunity to provide events to the community. prior to COVID, most of our music events and our concert series, which we call the Pantorian Sessions, and our annual KHOI anniversary celebration, were performed live at the KHOI studio location and broadcast. The music events are planned in conjunction with our twice annual fundraising campaigns. The small size of the station precludes continuing this model for the foreseeable future due to social distancing guidelines. KHOI leadership has, as a result, has investigated other possibilities because people have told us how much they have missed the concerts. And we're excited to have a partnership opportunity with Stevens Auditorium to continue the Pantorian Sessions. This partnership would allow KHOI to use either the Stevens lawn or the Stevens stage for our events. We have 2 concerts planned for November. That's one of our fundraising months. And these will be streamed live on YouTube and broadcast by KHOI with a limited live audience at Stevens. So this is a new way of working around the social distancing, and we're excited to have things moving along with this.
I guess you can tell them what the funds are for.
The funds that we're requesting would be, by partnering with CY Stevens, we would be paying for the use of their stage and for setup and tear down for their sound tech. So we're, their facility and crew for the event. We also pay the artist fees and promotion for the event. We have an estimated cost per show for the Stevens stage at between $850 and $1,000, depending on the contractor we're going to use for the live streaming. And other than the 2 shows we have planned for November, we're looking at possibly 6 to 7 productions. That's not definite yet, but that's what we're looking to continue throughout the 2021 fiscal year. Do you have any questions for Ursula or myself?
Well, I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I believe the next item on the agenda is discuss Kids Commotion's application, which is coming in a little late, but with cause, I guess. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
I'm perfectly happy to consider them.
Me too. Yeah, same.
Have a motion to accept it?
Oh, I'll move.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor of accepting the Commotion dance application, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next meeting won't be until January 4th. We traditionally do not have a meeting in December. There's so much else going on, and it's not a real hectic month for us as it is. Brian, can we just touch very briefly on that mystery $10,000 that's floating out there?
Well, before we get to that,
please.
So you've accepted the application from Kids Commotion. Valerie's here for a brief hearing and presentation then.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. And I really appreciate that. It was an extraordinary circumstance this year, among lots of other extraordinary circumstances, but I very much appreciate your consideration. Kids Commotion is a 3-week performance workshop, intensive 3-week performance workshop for kids ages 8 to 18. It is unlike most other organizations in that the kids are expected to learn to choreograph and are expected to participate in the full production of a concert. So in 3 weeks, we start from nothing and we end up with a fully produced concert performance. This year, we did meet, and I thought that we would probably cancel like everybody else did, but then I thought we're supposed to be creative people, and I'm supposed to be a creative person. Why would we just cancel when we meet in the summertime? So I talked to several of our regular parents. Kids Commotion has about at least a 50% return rate each year. It's a very well-respected program. And these parents said, oh, please do something. And I thought, they said, our kids just don't have the stimulation that they're used to getting. So I said, okay, so we set up certain rules, and including social distanced dance, which for children is really, really difficult. It's difficult enough for adults, but for children, that was a big challenge. However, we worked with a software program called Isadora, and I asked the students to do a fair amount of work with video. We videotaped the dances and the fragments of dances that they created. And then I taught them how to use this program software, Isadora, and then they put that together and they made dance on video using their own performances. They also made some really pretty spectacular artwork with the program, and they did site-specific work out in the park at Emma McCarthy Lee Park. So I have to say that after not seeing any group of people for months, at the end of July having about 60 people, 70 people in the park, spread out over several hundred feet, not about half of a football field, I'm sure, for social distancing. Having the kids perform their pieces outdoors, masked, was just spectacular. It made my summer. At any rate, next year we are hoping to return to the city auditorium so we can have a more controlled environment. This summer, what we learned that we will have to apply for next summer if we need to, but we are going to prefer to move back into a controlled environment, like I said. But we learned that we can adapt. We learned that we are creative and that we can still do really high quality work under less than lovely circumstances, that our choreography actually was enhanced. Stravinsky said that the smaller the box, I'm paraphrasing here, the smaller the box, the greater the creativity. So when we have fewer choices, we are forced to delve more deeply into the choices that we do have. And I put it to the kids that way, and they responded. We worked with a smaller group of kids. Next year, I'd like to go back to our regular about 25 kids, because we just get more ideas that way. We get a better community of ideas. The kids were not as able to this summer to collaborate the way they have because of the distancing. We also found that because we couldn't do any touching, that lifts were out, and there were we had to really, really think about how we were using our bodies in space. It was good for all of us. The next year, we are planning on using an idea of dreams and dreaming. And I am always impressed by the depth of thought that the students put into these themes that we come up with. So I'm looking forward to that very much. Now, along with the extraordinary circumstance of our application, I realized that I sent when I got back and went, I realized I sent the unedited version. So if I can have you look at the first paragraph of our narrative description, I would like you to change those dates to 2021, July 12th to the 31st, and performances hopefully at the City Auditorium again on the 30th and the 31st of July in 2021. And any questions?
Not necessarily pertaining to this, but I did notice that you didn't have one for just co-motion this year. Was that intentional or?
It was intentional. I did make an application, actually. I mean, I wrote an application, and then I decided not to put it in, one, because it would have been late, but two, because we really are uncertain. The dancers are really unable to rehearse, and we are unable to rehearse the way that we really want to. So we are continuing to do some of our outreach work, but as a company, we are not able to meet right now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we just didn't get it, didn't want it to be left out. So
thank you so much, Troy. I appreciate it. It's well, for everybody, it's a difficult year, and it's no different for us. And the professional dancers are really, they are really feeling the lack of not just work, but because everybody has gone into doing other work. But the professional dancers are feeling the lack of our company. That's probably the best way to say it. But they're also unwilling to expose themselves and their families to possible viruses.
Right.
So we just decided that for the rest of our season, we aren't going to be able to do anything. Women in Motion was canceled halfway through our production last spring. And this coming year, we are planning to meet again. So in the spring of 21, which would be the year 2021, there we go. Women in Motion will still plan on meeting. That's one of our outreach projects. But I'm not exactly sure how that's going to happen yet either. We're planning on meeting. And if we can, quite honestly, just like everybody else, rehearsal space is an issue. And rehearsal space is actually more of an issue for the people who are willing to meet than anything else is. So we're just standing on our toes here and staying flexible. Thank you so much for asking about that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Valerie. And I apologize for almost jumping over you there. Brian caught me just in time.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure it would have been graceful, Tom.
Yeah.
And thank you, Valerie, for sharing what you did over the summer. That just is very interesting and very creative. So just really appreciated hearing about that. It sounds like it was quite the experience, but that you learned some things that you can take moving forward. So glad to hear that there's a little bit of success in all of this horribleness that's been happening this year. So just appreciated hearing that here at the end of the night.
You know, with everybody canceling their events, I actually looked around and I thought there is nothing going on, nothing creative and organized and collaborative for children. So that was another reason I felt like, as an artist, I was responsible for doing something and making something positive happen. So I really think we did this summer. I think not just the kids, but I think their families really appreciated being able to see something that was, again, collaborative and creative.
Yeah,
thanks again, Valerie.
Thank you.
Hey, Tom, I was just wondering before we go on to your question, Brian, did we have a amount that we're working with yet? It looks like currently we have, and just to set everybody's expectations up, I guess, it looks like we have about 218,000 that have been requested. Do we know how much we have available?
Right. So we do not yet know that amount. The way it will work is in early December, we will ask the city council for the amount that they want to authorize for a pot of money for these requests. And then also the commission usually takes out a couple $1,000s from that allocation and sets it aside for special project grants for the next fiscal year too.
Right.
So after early December, the commission will know how much money there is available to work with. You will go individually and make your recommendations, and then we'll all come back together, I think at the January meeting, where you'll make a formal recommendation as a commission. And then those will go to the city council in February, the second week in February, at the council's budget wrap-up meeting. And that's where they'll approve the final amounts that will be placed into the city budget.
Okay.
So we give the council some information about how much was provided this year in the budget, how much was requested for next year, and then a range of options for an increase they might decide to implement. It depends on the health of the local option sales tax fund and what the council's priorities are. So they have to take all that into consideration before they decide the amount to authorize.
Okay. I just think that it's good for everybody to know. So thank you.
I also have to say I'm just mesmerized by Deanne's background. I'm sorry, but
well, I had to do something different. It's so dark. I mean, maybe it's, I don't know, fitting with the season or Halloween or I don't know. Anyway, hope I didn't put you to sleep.
Well, very nice.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, Brian. You want to talk about that 10,000 or?
Sure, just briefly, the city council allocated some funds in this year's budget for a unique program to support the arts in Ames. It's a $10,000 allocation. And I believe Tom has been discussing with the one of the representatives from the Public Art Commission about how to best use this funding. And there's a proposal. Tom, would you be able to describe the proposal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been talking with Sarah Sherman. She's the chairman of the PAC. And we had a video conference with Heather Johnson and some of the folks over at the Octagon. What the Octagon is proposing is with the loss of designs on Main, since Iowa State pulled that out, there really isn't any resource or facility for artists to set up shops and that type of thing like there used to be when the Designs was there. And the Octagon has a third floor that's very underutilized. I mean, in theory, there's a gallery there, but nobody goes up, and they don't have the proper renovations for bathroom facilities and things like that they really need. So they're looking at a long-range plan to develop that third floor so they have artist space, very, very reasonable, and can encourage artists to come in. Kind of first phase of that is to obviously remodel the bathroom so it's appropriate for all genders and big enough. And then they'd like to get an artist in residence that they help fund and provide space for artists, some of who were displaced by Designs on Main, and bring in some other ones as well, and then grow that over the next few years. And that kind of tails in with what we've talked about in the past, how we need to support the arts, how the city, what they could do more for us. Of course, everybody's got their hand out to the city right now, obviously, but and that's why I sent along the information that the Octagon put together based on our conversations and also what Jennifer Drinkwater had talked about. I mean, when you're getting a $9 return for every dollar you invest in theory in the arts, it seems like this might be a good venue. Actually, PAC and the Commission on the Arts don't actually own that 10,000. It's not ours to give away per se. I understand that we could make a joint recommendation to the City Council that it goes to something like the Octagon project. So rather than get 50 people on the Zoom call and try to hash it out, we went through the first step, Sarah and I and the Octagon people. Sarah and I and Jennifer all think it's a wonderful idea. So that's why I passed the information on to all of you to get your feedback before we make any kind of recommendation. I mean, we don't have to give the money to these folks, and it's not actually ours to give. But if we're going to make a recommendation, I think we all need to be on the same page for that. So hopefully you've had a little chance to review some of that and have some thoughts you'd like to share now.
Sounds great. I mean, sounds perfect.
Were there other proposals for the use of that funds from other arts organizations?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, that doesn't mean just because it's the exclusive proposal that we have to go with it. But from my thought and from Jennifer and Sarah, we all felt like, well, this was really what we were trying to target anyway, is to get an artist in residence, to try and create workspaces, and especially now fill in the void from the loss of Designs on Main, that it just made sense. Octagon has the space. They do need to remodel, and that's going to be a several-year project. It costs far more than that 10,000, obviously, but it just seemed like it was kind of a fit. And Octagon is somebody that everybody feels they can support in this community. And Heather's made a big commitment to support artists, not just her own building. The idea is not we're not going to pay the rent for her and things like that. We're going to help them utilize the space so they can support the artists and the artists better in the community. So that's kind of where we were at with it.
It seems like less, I'm sorry. I was just going to say a very brief comment that it seems like less of a, directly the Octagon benefits from it and nobody else does. It's not that kind of a proposal. It seems like it's a very inclusive, it would really help the arts community in, all the different areas that we support as a commission. So to me, it did sound like a really great idea from what I'd read.
Yeah, I'd definitely be supportive. I guess I would recommend, there was a proposal last August from Catherine Reinhardt, who was looking to do something similar, and that never came through. I don't know if it's possible to reach out to her and see what the struggles in getting that project that she was trying to do off the ground, and maybe that could help form with the Octagon, just some strategies and stuff like that. I was just searching my email. I was like, I think someone was trying to do something along the same lines last year. And Catherine might have some good thoughts on who was interested and some of the struggles in reaching out to people and stuff like that. Just might be a good resource if she's still around. So.
If you have contact for her and would like to reach out, that would be wonderful, Troy.
Yeah.
Because, the Octagon has the space, which is one of the challenges, is to find a location. This is already there and it's already paid for. And it could be a very collaborative thing if we get some other people like you're talking about, Troy, involved. Because, they're not trying to be exclusive or run this on their own. They want to open it up. So anything.
Yeah, just might be a good resource to see what she ran into last year. So.
Hey, Brian,
yeah,
when are we looking at making a recommendation to the city council? Is there a time frame we have to be within, or?
No, there is not a time frame. It's just whenever you're ready to do so, we can take up a proposal to the council and see whether they agree to support that.
Okay, I believe Sarah's meeting is Wednesday with PAC, yeah. So they'll probably have a better feel for it too. Troy or anyone, if you have someone you'd like to reach out to about this, that would be wonderful. I know when I spoke to Jennifer again the other day, she mentioned that the Octagon's proposal was the only one that she knew that was current and going on, but that doesn't mean there isn't something else out there. So do some digging, guys.
There are a couple of people with their hands raised who I think want to jump in on this discussion, if that's okay.
Oh, yes, please.
Jennifer is live, right?
Oh,
no, sorry. The phone number.
Call in. Hello, caller.
You're caller 9.
Hi, it's Jenny. I think I'm unmuted now.
Yes.
I just want to make the point that this sounds like a really great idea. I think the Octagon and the Public Arts Commission have really hatched a plan that could do something really great for the community. But other than hearing mention of this $10,000 at the last CODA meeting, just in passing, that is the first I've heard of it. And as far as I know, there aren't any other projects that have had the opportunity to respond. I just want to say that.
How would you suggest we communicate this to the community, the arts community?
I guess that depends on how you want the money to be used. I'm not sure how it was communicated to the Octagon or to the Public Art Commission. So I mean, we've given out grant funding before through the Arts Council, and generally you do an open call. You say what's available and how the money can be spent, and then you let people put ideas forth. But I don't know if you have the I'll use the word wherewithal because I can't think of the right word. If you have the infrastructure to do something like that.
You know, I don't know. I didn't even realize we had that money until Sarah Sherman told me. So is there some
like
kind
I said,
of
I heard mention of it at the last CODA meeting, just in passing, that it had been given, but I don't think that's been communicated widely because it happened right before we shut down.
Is there a specific procedure we should follow on this, Brian, or?
Well, this is sort of uncharted territory. The council allocated $10,000 and said they wanted it to support artists, and that was it.
Okay.
So they didn't specify in their motion whether it was something for PAC to handle or for CODA to handle specifically, but we thought that it would be good to get both of you involved in some fashion. So it's entirely up to the commissions, I suppose, what you think would be the best way to proceed. If you would like to suggest to PAC that we pump the brakes and take proposals, or if you'd like to proceed with this particular idea, it's up to you.
What do you think, Jennifer?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
No, I mean, you're in the community.
Like I said when I started, I truly support all that the Octagon is trying to do, and they really are a community-wide organization. But I hesitate to grant money without some sort of process. I feel like that could create some hard feelings.
Okay.
But I don't want to stop money either, if that makes sense. I don't want to create this huge barrier, but I also know that it's just like a CODA grant. You know, they aren't that hard to do. I think there's ways to collect ideas.
Hey, Brian, if we don't have a recommendation until our January meeting, the money will still be available?
Yes, it's in the city budget. It was actually money from last year that was carried over. So it's basically just sitting there until something gets done with it.
In that case, I feel like if there's not a time sensitivity to it, that we would do something like ask for a call for proposals or something in whatever fashion the commissions see fit. But it does seem like being transparent and giving everybody a fair shot at coming up with an idea to receive the funds would be equitable. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, I love the idea, but I also feel like if there's no rush, it might be best to open it up.
I would agree with that, though. Jenny's point about having an infrastructure available to do that quickly is something that we would need to figure out. There are other hands up, Brian. Do you want to have other people comment maybe?
Yes, there's a phone number ending in 809. Are you there?
I heard 2 tabs.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It's Tammy. I was double muted. I muted myself, so sorry about that. So this is Tammy from Stevens Auditorium. I was just wondering if that, now that you're maybe talking about opening it back up, but I was wondering if that space that you were looking at the Octagon also covered performing arts, or if it was just visual arts. So I just want to put the flag out there too for performing arts.
I believe she envisioned it being available for anything. I'm not sure if they have a space for like a large dance production or anything at this point, though.
Okay, we also have Valerie Williams.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Co-Motion Dance Theater has performed on the 3rd floor of the Octagon in the past. There's a beautiful wood floor underneath the carpeting, and we used that. We also brought in a floor and put it on top. But that said, so having access to a space like that would be fabulous. One of my first thoughts on hearing about this 10,000 is that this might be an excellent opportunity to support individual artists and to take applications or proposals from individual artists for using space. COTA and the Public Art Commission support organizations. The Public Art Commission supports individual artists, but in very specific ways. This having something for individual artists to work with and be able to use a space for like an artist in residence program is pretty fabulous. And that might be a way to think about that money really supporting artists and not necessarily just spaces. I haven't thought that through all the way, but just my 2 cents there.
No, that makes sense, Valerie. And you didn't see a copy of the proposal that the Octagon put together. They really are talking about putting together space for artists, so they have their studios or whatever right there on the 3rd floor. So I think it's something similar to what you're talking about.
That would be great to have another small space. I'm going to speak both as a visual artist and as a performing artist here. As a performing artist and producer, having another small space would be really, really good. The City of Ames has beautiful performing spaces in the City Auditorium and at CY Stevens, but sometimes we really just need a space where we can seat between 30 and 100 people. And having something like that would be really advantageous. Most of our other spaces are limited to music just in the way that they're set up. And even those spaces have almost disappeared in the last couple of years. So we have a dearth of space right now that's available for performers. And I kind of hate to say if you build it, they will come. But if there's nothing available, then it's really difficult to even conceive of making work. That's another thing that we learned this summer with Kids Co-Motion and working outside in the park and being, really subservient to the weather. I'll be quiet now.
Well, Valerie, Jennifer, anyone on the call here, if you have any ideas or suggestions, please forward them to us. Obviously, we're not going to make a decision till January, it sounds like. There is not a rush, and we want to make sure we're doing this fairly for all involved. And if anyone would like to see a copy of the Octagon proposal, let me know, and I can email that to you as well. Any other discussion? And I'll touch base with Sarah Sherman and let her know where we're at before she has her meeting with PAC on Wednesday.
Good.
And I believe that is everything, unless there's anything else for the common good.
Just a reminder, the next meeting is until January 4th.
Mm-hmm.
No meeting in December.
All right. Who knows where I'll be on January 4th, but presumably it'll be a Zoom meeting. So there's Wi-Fi on there.
I'm guessing it'll still be a Zoom meeting. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Meeting is adjourned.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.